Okay, let's get moving. All right. How is everybody doing on this? What is it? Is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Beautiful, beautiful weather. Now, I think tomorrow I'm going to try, as long as this weather holds, because it's just been really fantastic weather, breezy, low 70s. I think tomorrow I'm going to attempt to take all of this and move it outside to the spot where I would normally do like the members podcast. I want to see how it works if I go out there and during the nice weather, if we do the stream outside, because I got the Ethernet cord, so I wouldn't be trying to do it with the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to try to do that tomorrow as long as the weather holds. I thought about doing it today, but I just didn't have enough time to get it all set up. So hopefully tomorrow we'll do that. That way, it's a good test to maybe try to do some different things during the season. All right. What do we got? Colin, how we doing? Oh, yeah, the Dolphins' new uniforms. Yeah, I know Kyle's going to want to talk about that, so I don't want to step on his thunder too much. I know that. Give him something to talk about in his stream. They're dark navy. I'm colorblind anyway, so. But I haven't actually seen them, so I'll have to watch Kyle's video when he does it. Simon, how we doing? Fossey, how worried am I that Matt Caldwell left the Panthers? Not so much. Not so much. I think I kind of feel confident about the structure and everything that, that's been set up. Caldwell was, in part responsible for bringing Zito in, but I kind of feel confident. Honestly, they should just give Zito Caldwell's job and keep Zito in his job too. You know what I mean? So as long as Zito's here, I feel good that we're in good shape. Derek, 70s and high. Yeah, we were cold last night. Woke up this morning at 56 degrees. We had the windows open and the house fan on. I had to put on a hoodie this morning in August. I think we had a record low. So I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Honey says Rhino holding his laughter while doing Team Canada interviews with McDavid every time they ask about re-signing with Oilers is hilarious. I mean, basically McDavid's just like saying, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I get it. There's no news, so people got something to talk about, but he didn't really say much. He didn't really say much. If you read between the lines, basically he's saying, let's see what the goalie situation is. Right? Edmonton's, they could have traded assets and gotten somebody, but who? There's not a lot of teams that are willing to help out a possible Stanley Cup contender that has that caliber of a goalie that would be a clear upgrade over Skinner and Picard, especially Skinner. It's kind of a short list of teams that have a guy that would be, worth giving up assets to have as a clear upgrade. I know some people thought maybe they'd go after Gibson, but, teams in your own conference, they always want to help you out. Maybe not. Colin, I'll make sure that Kyle addresses all of that during the football stream. You give him something to talk about. I didn't see him, but it's a good idea for him. I'm sure he'll be all over that. Do I think Kunin can be a better Boquist? Well, he's half the price. So I talked about this a little bit in the members podcast where I kind of like how Zito kind of layered things out because I kind of felt like Boquist was kind of a poor man's Rodriguez replacement if that needed to happen at some point at half the price. And now I kind of feel like Kunin is a Boquist replacement if that needs to happen at half the price. So I like the move because he's got flexibility. He can play in that, You could put him in the bottom 6. I don't know. Sometimes these guys come in and you don't think of them as a guy that can go into the top 6. But, is Kunin a guy where if, remember they put Boquist up there with Barkov and Verhaeghe for a couple of minutes when Reinhart was out. Would that be Kunin? You know what I mean? Can he take a couple of minutes there if somebody gets injured? But at that price point, I think it's a good move. Greg says McDavid plays season out, joins Panthers next season on an 8x8. The crazy part is we could probably afford him, Craig. We could probably afford him on an 8x8. Just give us 5 more. Just give us 5 straight cups. Where do you put him? I mean, where do you put him? Where do you put him? I mean, that's crazy. Now, you think about it. Where does he go? And who moves over or whatever? Oh, my predictions for the Olympics, Simon, is that Russia's not going to win. That's my predictions for the Olympics. I haven't really gotten into it too much yet. Silva says, morning, Josh. Just a quick question. Is there anything I would change about the Tkachuk trade if I could go back? Obviously, no major assets, but is there any small assets we could have kept? That's a good question. So it's hard to look at it as anything other than a great trade, right? You got Huberdeau, Weegar, the first, and Schwint. Like, I don't know that Schwint would really have turned out to be much. So I don't really know, if hanging on to him would have made a bigger deal. It was obviously worth the extra first. No problem with losing Huberdeau and Weegar that way. No, I can't really think anything that I would change about that, I mean, it was a heavy price to pay at that point, right? Huge gamble. We clearly won that trade, but it could have gone the other way real easily. You know what I mean? But it didn't. Vincent says feminism won when Jaws put on an outdated shirt. How did feminism? That's wild. That's a wild. Are you okay this morning, Vincent? How did feminism win? Putting on I gotta hear. Silva says, I think we could have gotten a prospect from Calgary. Sure. I mean, you're not wrong there, but I don't really know what effect that would have had in the sense of we haven't been able to move any of our prospects up. Maybe a defensive prospect, like if they had somebody on defense, right? I mean, it seemed lopsided at the time, for sure. Silva says, I really hate to say it. We got McDavid, then Bennett would have to go. Barkov, McDavid, Lundell, Nosek. No, just put Bennett on the wing. Just put Bennett on the wing. Well, actually, I take that back. If we can afford it, no, we're talking fantasy land here, Silva, but why not just go Barkov, McDavid, Lundell, Bennett? Why not just make Bennett 4C? I mean, eventually that's his playing style anyway. Eventually that's where he's going to go at some point is 4C, right? So just put him at 4C, play him third line minutes, like 12 minutes a night. And just they don't even need to play the games. Just give us the cups. So it says Tkachuk, McDavid, Bennett. Yeah, that too. That too, right? Or like McDavid. Hell, make McDavid 3C. McDavid, Samoskevich, and Marchand. How about that? Silva? I mean, McDavid with Samoskevich and Marchand. Yeah. So I think the league would have a fit. Yeah. Especially if after he signed the contract, he was like, well, it's the low taxes. Like, I just couldn't say no, it's the low taxes. So Frosty says, so I think the Panthers would go after Shesterkin when Bob retires. It's actually a really good question, something I had thought about a couple of times, where, you know, when you're looking forward and everything like that. What's Shesterkin's age? It's possible. Because didn't he just sign a contract though? So the Rangers would have to be, they would have to be tanking to the point like wanting to help, wanting to help us out. Hey Patel, how you doing, bud? Hunger, yeah, the $12 million a year, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But we get them salary retention. Get them, although I don't know the CBA, I know that the CBA is making it more difficult for like third teams to have salary retention. So I think those days are over. What's my prediction for the upcoming training camp? I'm going to go with Vincent's prediction that Jeff Petrie is going to be gassed. I'll go with that. I think he's going to get gassed. I hope he's ready. Hey David, how you doing, buddy? Our training camp should be anytime. Patel, how long will Bob play? Good question. Knock on wood there. He's been good to go. I got this 1 year. I'm kind of thinking a 2-year deal. You know what I mean? My guess would be 2 more years. But we don't know. It's hard to really get a read on Bob. He loves to play and he's having a good time and everything. But he also could be one of those guys that's like, I'm ready to just spend time with my family. It's really hard to get a read on. I think let's look at his birthday. Yeah, he's a gym rat for sure. Let's see. Sergey. Come on, why didn't you bring it up? There we go. He's 36 now, but he'll be 37 at the start of this season. He turns 37 on September 20th. So the season he starts 37, the season he starts 38, the season he starts 39. So he could play 3 more seasons and still not even be 40. So somewhere in there, I would figure maybe that's his number. He says we need a good backup so we can split the season between goalies. I don't disagree, and I kind of thought the same thing, but Bob has been playing 55-ish games. So, but we'll see what Tarasov does. We'll see, I know some people were kind of high on him. But Marchand signed till he's 43. Marchand's going to be like Yager, right? Marchand will be like Yager. I mean, he was still a viable-ish player at 45, right? Marchand will be getting 8 minutes a night on the 4th line by then, but that's okay. So, Silva had a question about, he says, objectively, which playoff run was more entertaining, 23, 24, 25? I know you'd probably say 25 as it's subjective, but looking at it more objectively, I think 23 or 24 would be the choice. I mean, if you're talking about pure entertainment, 23 for me, because just the whole shock of it all, right? Beating Boston, Verhaeghe in overtime, the 4 overtimes against Carolina. I think pure entertainment value, 23. Yeah. Yeah, it's 23, even though we were crippled by the finals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Gordie Howe played until his 50s, right? Sir Fossey, you worried about Tarasov? Well, let's look at his numbers. And I know goalie numbers are not everything, right? Let's see. What is he? How old is this kid anyway? Where's his age? He's 26. God, he's 6'5", 203. So that's good. So he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity here, right? Um, his save percentages have kind of been all over the place, but not a lot of games. So he's only played for Columbus. He started 3 games, had a 937, started 16 games, had an 892. Then he started 23 games and had a 908 with a 318. And then last year he started 19 games and had a 354 with an 881. So kind of inconsistent. To be honest, those numbers remind me of what Drieger was before we got him. I don't know what they do to the goalies when they get here, but they've managed to fix everybody that's shown up. Hungry says Yager's still a viable player for Chicago or San Jose. Yeah, Craig says Marchand extended his career by not needing to be the guy anymore. Yeah. Yeah, and also, yeah, with 23, also barely getting into the playoffs. That's a good point, right? I mean, if you look at the whole season as a whole, I mean, how many times last year were we like, is it playoffs yet? There was a lot of nights last year where you could tell the guys were at about 60%. Dave says, we don't need or want the President's Trophy, so we only need, like, say, 90 points in the regular season. Let the guys rest a lot in the season so we crush it in the playoffs again. I agree. Was Luongo? Well, his hip gave out on him. I don't think it was. I think that was the original contract was to that age. He's 46 now, so no, he didn't play that late. I think the original contract was like to 42 or 43. Let's see. His last season was 18-19. So if he's 46 now in 25, that'd have been like 40, 39, 40. When's he? Yeah. Unfortunately, his hip gave out on him in that last year, and that was that. He kind of knew he was done. His contract ran, I think, till 43 is what his contract was. Hey, it's Trey. How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Jamieson says, if you think about it, the Panthers are once again a destination for veteran players to sign a deal and retire afterwards. It's just the difference is the team doesn't suck. It's a good point. How's my dating apps game? I know you have to ask YouTube. Let's see. What are they showing me this morning? If I go to YouTube and I go to the home page, let's see what my ad is. I gotta click on a video. Okay. Let's see. No, today's ad is L-Mind. It's a bed or a pillow. They're giving me an advertisement for a pillow. Interesting. That's what today's ad is. I don't know why. Maybe Donna was looking at pillows. You know, you get stuff for everybody that's in the house, I guess. Craig says Tarasov will be a bargain. Stoley, he'll be fine. Hungry, yeah, Luongo being here does help for sure. Hey, Frank, yeah, you ain't the only one, right? We're all ready. You're definitely all ready, brother. Jameson says, I'm a bit concerned Tarasov won't be up to the task either. Could take him a couple months to get used to the system. Well, we don't have anybody else too, right? Like if he struggles, there's nobody down there to. Don't we still have one veteran guy? Didn't we get a veteran guy? Somebody remind me. I think we did. Like I know we don't have Kokkonen anymore, but I think there was another guy. So Foss, you think we start off a little bit slow? One or the other. I think it's possible. You just never know with this team, right? Hungry says if Pasta finally goes full rebuild mode, it's going to be interesting to see where Pasta ends up. And depending on the timing, Swayman could be an option for us. I don't want Swayman. I don't want him. He rubs me the wrong way. Not interested. Not interested in Jeremy Swayman. That's just my personal opinion. If he was on the team, I would support him, but I don't know. I've seen him talk in interviews a few times. He rubs me the wrong way. I think Swayman thinks he's a little bit better than he actually is. Foss, you think we'll finish in the 94 to 102 point range? Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. What was it last year? 90, 98, 94, 96? What the hell was it last year? Yeah, that would be nice, Colin. Oh, Trey, I'm so sorry, man. A moment of silence for Trey. Moment of silence for Trey. That's rough. That's rough, man. I'm sorry. A Panthers series for when they first came in. That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. Maybe that's what I should advertise here for boys. What the hell is Boys Club? How old is Messi now? I don't know a damn thing about soccer, but it seems like for 50 years people have been talking about this guy Messi. I don't know anything about it. Oh, here we go, Vince. Yeah, it's me who usually rubs, but I get paid for that. I get paid for that part. David says, not many talking about it, but does McGopher leave Edmonton this year or next year? Or does he sign an extension? No, we already got him here on an 8x8, David, at the beginning of the chat. He's coming next year for an 8x8, and we're just going to put Sam Bennett at 4C. We already decided that. Yeah, because we can afford to do that. You can afford to do that. Bob will just have to take a little bit of a pay cut. That's all. And we'll give him 8x8. And yeah, we'll just go Barkov, McDavid, Lundell, Bennett. Yeah. Bessie's 165 years old. Good, somebody's older than me. Okay, so he's been playing since he's 15. Gotcha. David. Yeah. Hockey Guy jersey countdown. I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I saw the thumbnails come up, but I didn't watch. I was looking. I've been researching the video that I got coming out. Should be Monday. The next long one that I got coming out should be Monday. I just got to do the audio tomorrow, then put all the film together and all of that over the weekend. So hopefully I can have that out for Labor Day. Yeah, good point, Craig. Could you imagine how well McDavid could play without the stress he has now, right? Yeah, the 90s Panther jersey rated pretty decently. Hey, happy birthday, Anthony. Happy birthday, bud. Oh, that reminds me, my mom's birthday's in a couple of weeks. Yeah, can you imagine McDavid without the stress and knowing he had a real goaltender? Like, how many cups would they win? Right? I don't think the league could handle it, though. I don't think the league could handle it. Not going to happen. I hope he stays in the West if he does leave. You know, he's going to go somewhere where he feels like he can win. If he's not going, you know, if Edmonton, if they blow it again, and I know it's not Skinner's fault necessarily. Like, you can only give Skinner so much blame. He allowed 2 goals in a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can point at Skinner and be like, hey, this guy's a problem. Oh, hey, Silva, good. Good to hear it. Yeah, that's good. I know that's nerve-wracking, man. It's just nerve-wracking for sure. Dave says, I can't imagine the Oilers letting him go. I mean, have you seen Edmonton? They have nothing else. I don't think it's – I mean, on one hand, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know that I mean, if he wants to go to win somewhere – goalie. Let's look at who's the free agent goalies next season. Let's look at that. Because honestly, that let's see. 2026 NHL free agent goalies. All right, let's look at the goalie free agent market for next season. Let me share this. What the hell? Anthony, yeah, that's the first name that came up. All right, so whatever. So Carey Price technically will be a free agent next year. Then Bobrovsky, Markstrom, Spencer Knight. I keep saying that, but even if Edmonton tried to, well, I mean, I guess you wouldn't have to. Well, no, you would have to offer Sheedham because he's an RFA. And then past that, I mean, Mrazek, Gustafsson, there's nobody on this list. Stolars, maybe. Like, there's not a lot of guys on that list that are such a huge upgrade over Skinner that McDavid would say, okay, now I'll stay. Like, Bob's not going anywhere. Markstrom, his best days might be behind him. Is Markstrom enough to make them, to make him stay? I mean, Quick is still out there, but obviously, there's nobody really on that list with the exception of maybe Stolars if he was able to go on a good-sized run this year. That's it's slim pickings. Stolarz was an Oiler. I didn't realize that. Did not realize that. David, you think you grew up a Leafs fan, so you think you could go to Toronto? I mean, that's got to be the scariest thing if you're Edmonton is you can't lose him for nothing. Anthony says prediction is if Connor leaves. Oh, chat moved on me. Hold on a second. If Connor leaves Edmonton, they're going to go to the Kings or Seattle because it's close to where he lives in Canada, Tampa, Philadelphia. He's only going to leave if he's going to go someplace where he thinks he can win. And if you're Edmonton, you just can't lose him for nothing. Trey says McDavid to Montreal. Don't believe me. No, that's actually. Can you imagine if they got McDavid and Spencer Knight in the same offseason? We were like, thanks for the 3 cups, guys. We're out. I mean, they probably will have the money, right? Boy, wouldn't that piss off? Can you imagine that, Edmonton fans? Jeez. They'd lose their minds. That's, to me, the biggest question is going to be if he doesn't have an extension by the trade deadline, is Edmonton willing to risk losing him for nothing? You know? Trey, yeah. But they still have to make sure either Dobish has to really develop, or they've still got to have a goalie. How old is McDavid now? Kenneth says it's hard enough dealing with Montreal being good again. David. Silva says Edmonton's possibly the only team that could let McDavid down. If he goes anywhere, he's winning multiple cups. Yeah. That's really going to be the story of the whole season if he doesn't. $56, Vincent. What do I think about him going to LA? I mean, that's definitely, he's 29 and a half. I mean, it's definitely possible. Thinking about it. You know, it just doesn't, it doesn't feel to me like, he's angling for more money. He just genuinely wants to win. So it says, seriously, look at any team who made the playoffs this year, remove their 1C and plop in McDavid. Who doesn't win the cup? There's a few teams there. Like, you still got to have the goaltending, right? You still got to have the goaltending. I mean, I get your point. Like the Devils, you still got to have the goaltending. I think any of the teams in the West would have definitely made it to the finals with McDavid. Kings, Vegas, Avalanche. You know what I mean? Like Avalanche with McDavid, a good night, right? David says, where could he have the best chance at a cup? The West is weaker, so the easier path with the Habs might be a Connor. Yeah, I mean, I think I think Trey's accurate there. If there's one team, but they still got to make sure they got the proper goalie. But if there's one team that I think could have the right set of circumstances to lure him away, it could be Montreal. Derek says the fact that the Oilers are standing pat with Skinner and Picard is a sign 97 moves on. I agree with you, but at the same point, I just don't know what was out there to really go get. You know what I mean? In terms of upgrades over either one, over, let's just call it Skinner, because he's really the guy. Picard's, inadequate backup, but he's not. It's really Skinner's job. I know Gibson was an option. I know, but do they win a cup with Gibson? Last year, do they beat the Panthers with Gibson? You know what I mean? Like I said, in Game 7 the year before, he only allowed 2 goals, right? He didn't play great this last year, though. Derek, trade for Stolarz. That's always a possibility. He's going to be a free agent, though. He's got this 1 more year in his deal, and then he's a free agent. So I don't know that they give up. I don't think Toronto's going to help them out, right? I don't think Toronto's going to help them out. That would be like Tampa giving us, Gensel or something like that. I don't think they're fixing to help us out. Jay says a goalie would take a pay cut to play with McDavid in Montreal. That's true. Sure. But they still got to have one. Now, what if Stolarz just went from Toronto as a free agent to Montreal, and he had McDavid and Stolarz in Montreal? And then Montreal didn't have to give up anything, right? They just wait for Edmonton and Toronto to collapse and let those guys go, and then Montreal sucks them both up, and then they're the beneficiaries of the Panthers. They've won 3 cups in a row. They're starting to run out of gas, and here comes Montreal with McDavid and Stolarz. It's a good movie. David says, again, it really wasn't goaltending that lost the Oilers to finals. It was the depth. Yeah. Yes, honestly, I agree with you to some extent. Skinner had a couple of moments, like the one goal where he just popped out the puck right there to Barkov, and he knocked it off of Reinhart. I think that was the second or the third goal in Game 6. He had a couple of bonehead moments, but the Panthers they're the best team. You know what I mean? We're just, over the course of a 6-7 game series, we just grind these teams into oblivion. And then eventually, we'll run out of gas, but not yet. Silva says, I think one problem is that the 25 Panthers were as close to unstoppable as you can get in the salary cap era. The team was built almost perfectly, 3 scoring lines and a 4th that can take your head off. Yeah. When you got Brad Marchand playing on that 3rd line with Lundell and Luosterainen, and Marchand is playing like a kid again, it was going to be rough on anybody we played. Hungy, you think Stolarz will revert to the mean? Maybe. What do I think about McDavid going to Tampa? It's definitely something he'd probably look at, right? I think any Eastern Conference team that he goes to, he's going to want to be sure that his presence means that they can beat Florida, because who knows what's going to happen this year. But I'm sure he's sick of losing to the Panthers, right? But McDavid on Tampa could definitely cause some problems, for sure. I don't know what their cap situation is. Anybody know what Tampa's cap situation is? Yeah, exactly, David. She says, how do you say do nothing, win in French? Craig, yeah, I agree with you there on the better defenseman. Yeah, exactly. And they got tired in Game 7 2 years ago and sooner last year. Yep. Vincent says it's not that simple in real life. Does McChicken makes his decisions on his own? Wife might squeeze him tight, and whoever else look at Martin with his entourage. That's a good point. Sure. But where's his wife from? Like, does she want to live in warm, sunny Florida? Does she love it? And does she want to go to snowy Vancouver? Like, where, you know what I mean? Like, where's she from? Yeah, Hungry, I agree with you there. Anthony, I would never say there's no chance of something happening, but there's as close to no chance that we lose Bob as possible. He's not going anywhere. He's retiring with us. In my opinion, it's as close to a guarantee. Yeah, David is saying it. Yeah. Now, maybe we get Stolarz back as the backup. I mean, we can look at it that way, though, right? I mean, because we're talking about needing a goalie to split time with Bob. What if, we'd be able to give Stolarz a couple of years there, like if we had Bob and Stolarz for the last 2 years of Bob. That's definitely possible. That could happen. So I wants to know my surprise team in the NHL in the Western Conference, in my opinion. I want so badly for the Sharks to be good for Nick's sake, but I don't think they're there yet. I don't want Chicago to do well because I want to see the chaos of Spencer Knight not signing. I want to see what happens when he doesn't sign. Because if he doesn't sign and he's an RFA, we'll just offer sheet him and we'll get him back, and we'll still have Spencer Knight as the heir to the throne. It's August. I'm just making shit up at this point, but why not? I have to think about that, Simon. David says, I'd say Habs or maybe Canes a great fit. Oh, you think he'd go to the Canes? I don't know, man. Like, everybody with offensive ability that goes there wants to get out of there as fast as possible. Yeah, Vegas. Yeah, that too, Craig. It rarely snows in Vancouver, Kenneth. Well, shows you what I know. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you assume Vancouver is snowy? It rains here. Snow usually stays on top of the mountains. How am I supposed to know? How would you think about a Canadian city that doesn't snow all the time? It sounds kind of illegal, right? Are you guys sure you're actually part of Canada? You sure about that? Anthony, yeah, I'll agree with you there. I don't think you would go to the Leafs. I agree with you there. Trey says Bob's going to sign for 8.25 that all the other top goalies have been signing for, and it's a pay cut. Yeah, sure. Two by 8.25. That sounds good. Do we have a young goalie we got from Columbus or something? Well, we have Tarasov. He's the backup. Yeah, we got from Columbus. He's 26. He doesn't have like the pedigree like a Spencer Knight does, but you just never know. We always are able to turn guys around, so we'll have to see. But all I know is that with our history with goalies, if Zito and Luongo like them, you pretty much got to figure Luongo's the guy making those picks, right? Bill says, Roberto, who do you want? And if this is the guy, and Bill goes and makes it happen if it's possible. That would be my guess. Nirmac, yeah, no, we have no picks. No, I know that. That's for sure. Vancouver's like Seattle, lots of rain. Okay. Shows you what I know. What teams do I think could handle the Panthers, Simon? I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled about playing the Avalanche or Vegas. I wouldn't be thrilled about playing Colorado or Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. Being our fourth time there in a row, I wouldn't be all that thrilled about that matchup. Can you even believe that sentence is coming out of my mouth? We would have made it 4 times in a row. Yeah, not interested in Colorado or Vegas. The Kings think we'd be okay. I mean, there's still the possibility that it could be Panthers, Oilers 3 straight. I mean, there's a lot of conjecture, but there's nothing that's happened on anybody's team that makes you go, yeah, there's no way it could be Panthers and Edmonton again. It totally could. It could totally be those 3 teams again, those 2 teams again for 3 straight years. Absolutely. Now, what happens to McDavid if it's Florida and Edmonton again and they lose again? Like, does he just say F it and go to Florida on an 8x8? Like, I wouldn't want Edmonton to win, but it feels kind of abusive for the same dude to lose to the same team 3 times straight. It kind of feels, I would almost feel bad. Like this, it seems, seems like that's kind of abuse. Meadow wants to know, what do I think will be the effects of some of our higher-ups departing? I think as long as we have Zito, I think we're in good shape. It's one of those things we're not used to it because the Panthers have never been good like this. But if football happens every year, teams get good and they lose guys in upper management because other teams want to emulate that, their culture and that system. So I don't know exactly. I mean, I guess you would assume Caldwell's going to make a lot more money in the NBA than hockey. It's probably that. And whatever, opportunity he's like, I don't know if you're the president, CEO of a sports franchise, like where is there to go other than being the owner? So they've said it's a really great opportunity for him, and I'm not arguing against that. But I read the article, and I guess that the way that Viola kind of looked at it with Caldwell is like he came here and he accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish. And like it was more of like a challenge for him now to go to Minnesota. So I can respect that. But I think we'll be all right. Yeah, the Avs can be, Avs 30 years later, right? Hey, Anderson, how you doing, buddy? David. I couldn't even blame him. Like what if I think McDavid, if he lost 3 straight times to Florida, I think just about any result, anything he would do after that, he's excused for the most. No violence. No violence. But yeah, anything that he would do after that, I think we'd all have to be like, yeah, I could understand. Hey, Pente, how you doing, bud? Oh, geez. Anderson says you could always ask Corey Perry about what to do when you lose that many in a row. Oh, man. Good one. Pente says McDavid's going to leave Edmonton. It didn't sound overly promising. Like I always try to play devil's advocate. To me, the biggest question is they can't lose him for nothing, right? They can't risk losing him for nothing. I mean, honestly, do you think the fan base, here's a question for you. Do you think Edmonton's fan base would be more angry about losing him during free agency for nothing or trading him before the deadline so that they don't risk losing him for nothing? Which one do you think the fans would be angrier about? Craig says Avs or Vegas for the redemption value of it. Yeah, maybe. Or it could be every time we play Colorado or Vegas in the Cup finals. I don't know. How about Calgary? How about Calgary goes on some magical run and then we end their magical run? Wouldn't that be fun? Huh? That would be fun. Penty says Draisaitl taking 14 and Nurse getting 10. I know, right? And then the Bouchard one, that was crazy to me. The Bouchard one, I couldn't believe that when I heard that. It's just like, did they watch him play? Like he got smoked and pancaked a few times. Henderson. Pente says Edmonton's cap situation and management's work is so bad, he doesn't have a choice if he wants to win. Probably right. Yeah. Jameson, you would go with the trade? Right. Depends on who they get back if they trade. Sure. Henderson says if they traded him, they could at least cope with what they got back. If they lost him for nothing, Edmonton would end up like Pompeii. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, man. Good point. The Hubie and Uyghur curse will be like Smith and Marshy again. Could you imagine? Oh, my God. Can you imagine that? You want to talk about a redemption arc, right? You want to talk about a crazy-ass redemption arc, Metal. So Pente thinks 97 go to the Kings. Now, somebody else above it said that, too. It's interesting. We'll see. Well, it depends on if they're going to trade him or not, right? So, Pente, do you think, since you think, in your opinion, he's leaving, do you think Edmonton goes for one more run with him? Or do you think if they don't have him signed by the deadline, do you think they try to move him? What would they ask anyway? Right? Henderson says, think of how you feel if Barkov were allowed to walk, then had 40 years of pent-up rage nostalgia. So you think they trade him, Pente? So then if they're trading him, I'm just extrapolating this out, they're not going to trade him to the Western Conference, do you? You think they would trade him? I mean, you would assume they would want him out of the conference. What the hell would they ask for? Yeah, no, the Ducks are getting mildly better, for sure. That's the thing. It's like, what's a McDavid trade even look like? Bente. Yeah, that's the only thing there is can you imagine if they traded him to the Kings? Like, you want to talk about, you may as well just trade everybody because, fans are going to be crazy. Yeah, the Rangers. David thinks you got to kind of get him out of the country too, right? Right, and what would be his choice? I'm sure he's got a no move, right? So he'd get to pick. The problem is, how do you trade for McDavid and keep a team together that can win after losing what you traded to get McDavid? The only answer to that I have is the Panthers. To me, the Panthers are the only team that could give up the assets it would take to get McDavid and still have a team capable of winning. Because anybody else, by the time you give up, they're going to want at least 2 good NHL players on top of everything else, right? How many ones can you give? Like a decade? You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, people, you're thinking like, yeah, they have to get pieces back from them, right? Yeah, and cap wise too. They whoever's going to trade for McDavid has to send Cap the other way. And remember, well, this is the last year of the CBA. So, I mean, it probably end up being a sign and trade anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. I don't know what the Rangers, like, by the time what the Rangers would have to give up, you know. Tampa, maybe. I mean, what would a Panthers trade? I mean, I don't know why we would do it, right? I don't know why we would do it, but I mean, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, you know, I mean, I guess if you're Panthers and you actually would trade for McDavid, you're gonna lose Lundell. That's who's going in that deal is Lundell. Pente says Lafreniere, Fox, maybe Shesterkin. You give 97 or something back, right? But then McDavid's in the same spot where he doesn't have a team that can win or even a goalie anymore. That's the kicker. Now, if you're Florida, what are you going to do? Give up Lundell. You can give up Lundell, Jones, Samoskevich, and one of the firsts that we have left in 2045. Is that too much? And Airmax says, yeah, we don't need McDavid to win the cup. Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm just shooting the shit. You know what I mean? I'm just totally agree. No, I'm just shooting the shit about it. But because I'm just trying to think of where he could get traded to, where after the assets that you'd use to get him, you could still win. And in the East, I mean, unless he's going to go to Montreal and they're going to give up, a ton of picks and prospects. Hudson, you know what I mean? It's tough. Henderson says, I could easily see him signing a 2-year contract with a player option on the third, NBA style to max dollars and control. Oh, I don't know, though. Hey, SoFlo, how you doing, bud? The thing with that, Henderson, I understand what you're saying, but then he's kind of risking a lot of money if he was to get hurt. That's the only thing with that. I get what you're saying, but then he's risking, if something happens to him, he could be easily risking, $100 million. Yeah, what about Toronto? That's sure. If Toronto was able to keep Stolarz or if Woll continued to develop, I mean, you got to send. Who are you going to send? Nylander and Nyes? I mean, Nyes, if you're talking about Toronto getting McDavid, Nyes is gone, right? I mean, if you're Edmonton and Toronto calls, the first thing they're going to say is Nyes and thank you very much. I don't think they do it just for Nylander. I think Edmonton's going to be like Nyes or Click. I would think that if Florida called, the first words out of their mouth would be Lundell. I don't know if it would have to be Nylander and Nyes, but yeah. Hey, Great White, how you doing, bud? Yeah, Jazzy, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And then Vegas, right? I guess it's all going to come down to what Edmonton thinks that what are they going to be? Like, if they decide they have to move on from McDavid, then like what does the team become? Like, are they still thinking that they're a team that are they going to try to now, still try to win cups, or would they tear it all down? Right? I mean, because they're so top heavy. Like without McDavid and Draisaitl, what do you got? So if you traded McDavid, would they just be like, we're all done, and like move Draisaitl too and just completely rebuild? I guess that would be too much though to fans. I mean, it'd be a hell of a haul, right? Trade them both. You imagine that? Talk about blockbuster. Just trade them both somewhere. Now we're going crazy. Henderson says, here's my wild card. St. Louis since Kyrou, Thomas, Falk, and a pack of picks. Huh. Would they want to do it? Would they want to do it in the conference? That's really the bigger question. That's not bad, though. Dave says, got to remember a lot of bigger NHL stars have no trade clauses, so other half of the trade will be. Yeah, that's a good point. They'd have to want to go to Edmonton. That's a good point, David, because that's why Marner didn't end up in Carolina. Carolina tried to do the right thing. They tried to send Rantanen in. I'm glad that trade didn't go down, by the way. They tried to trade Marner and Rantanen, but Marner nixed it. So that's a good point. Yeah, the other guys gotta want to go, or at least be convinced to that it's in their best interest to go. Good point. Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's certainly going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a roll of the dice. If Edmonton starts off like a bat out of hell and they look great again, could they trade for a goalie in the middle of the season to upgrade and make McDavid happy? Maybe. Hey, Adonis, that's cool, man. That's all good. We got when are they going to announce camp already? We're like 2 weeks away, like 2.5 weeks away from camp. And we don't even know when it's going to be yet. They're waiting for you. In fact, I'm going to be mowing grass all afternoon. I got $5 says something happens while I'm mowing the grass. What time is it? Let's see. It's 1:07. I'll probably be starting to mow grass at about from like 2 to 4. So it's pretty much a guarantee that something will happen between 2 and 4 today. Yeah. All right, everybody, got to roll. I got to go do the eBay pack and ship and get that grass mowed. Looks like it might be clouding up, so I got to get it in before it would possibly rain. Kyle will be live today on the football channel at 3. He will not be live tomorrow on the football channel because he's going to his mother's his last weekend before sports and everything start up. So he's going to go to his mom's on Friday night. Tomorrow's live stream will still be at noon, but I'm going to try to have it outside. I'm going to try to move all of this outside so we could just have a little bit of a different ambiance to it, and I can move the camera around and watch Leia chase frogs and stuff. So, all right, everybody, appreciate all the love and support, and I'm going to be mowing grass from 2 to 4, so that's when something will happen. Always does. We'll see you then.